Hey everybody, welcome to Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. My name is Reed with Best Made Videos. We are a wedding videography company based out of West Seattle, Washington, and I am really excited today to be joined by two great vendors, friends, and longtime, colleagues, kind of heading up the WIPA Seattle, WIPA Seattle, networking group that's coming here, that's launching, and we have BreeAnn Gale with Pink Blossom Events and Rebecca Grant, who's been on the podcast before with New Creations, and thank you guys so much for coming in. Why don't you guys kind of introduce yourselves and tell us who you are and what you do before we talk about WIPA?
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. I'm BreeAnn, the owner of Pink Blossom Events. I've been in the industry for the last 13 years. Specialize in wedding planning as well as birthdays and other events, and I am your chapter president for WIPA.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Grant. I'm the owner of New Creations Weddings, and I've been in the industry as a whole for about 17 years. 5 years in Hawaii, and then the rest has been here in the Seattle market. And I am your director of membership for WIPA.
Well, perfect. And I think this is going to be great today for the audience. And also for me, you, Rebecca, had kind of reached out and said, hey, we're doing this. And, we need video support to, film the meetings and do some things like that. But talk about kind of what is this, what is WIPA and why, should people be excited that's coming to Seattle?
Sure. So I guess for those of you who don't know what WIPA stands for, it's Wedding International Professionals Association. So the reason behind the title. And the association is for wedding professionals with 3 years of business or more. So it's nice that coming to the meetings, we all know that our members are experienced. And the mission of WIPA is to provide industry-leading education for the members and produce inspiring events that are educational, but something that we feel like we're learning from. And I think just myself personally, the reason that why I thought it was so important to bring WIPA to Seattle is we were just missing that educational piece for the wedding industry, as well as events that I found were inspiring for me being in the industry for quite a while. It's, I think, really important. And then I'm excited too. We have a fantastic board, including Rebecca, as well as we have Reese with Herban Feast, Julie with AFR Furniture Rental and Event Furnishings, our secretary, Marnie of Peterson's Rentals, as well as Brian Waltz of Lightsmiths as our treasurer. Our director of education is Barbie Hull from Barbie Hull Photography. And then Mallory Bailey of Court Party Rental is our director of communications. So probably some names you guys have heard of. And, if you haven't, definitely people you want to get to know.
For sure.
Yeah, and so Rebecca and I were kind of talking about this, pre-recording, but I mean, there's a ton of experience on the board, a lot of, long-term, event professionals. So, and just kind of describe this further. So WIPA, right? It's like a international.
Yeah, it's an international association.
Yeah. And so then you guys, it's basically like franchised out kind of, right? Like to start one here. So how did that come about? Like, how did you guys get involved in that? And what was the inspiration for that?
Yeah, for me personally, I know Rebecca and I have both been leaders within our industry in terms of education and networking associations. And both of us have been to Engage as well as BSage Conference. Is something that's really passionate for myself and Rebecca. And when we were there at the last couple of events I've attended to, I was mentioning that we have a lack in this community of just the strong education. And so it was pretty much thrown in my lap. Here's WIPA. We'd love for you to bring that to Seattle. And so that was something that I was excited about. And I actually flew out to a Chicago meeting to one of their chapter events, which all the presidents had attended. So that was really fun to see. And just, as WIPA, the organization, we just get a lot of contact with other industry leaders throughout the country.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that really excites me, having been to those conferences that BreeAnn mentioned, such as Engage and such as BSage, is really elevating the Seattle market, because as a planner, what we're noticing is a lot of couples are being transported for jobs from the East Coast. And the East Coast events are so much more elaborate and so much more just down to the detail of really having it be an overall experience for your guests. And so being able to elevate the Seattle wedding market, and like what BreeAnn was saying with being inspired yourself. I mean, we've been in this business, both of us, like over 10 years. And so it's what inspires us, what keeps us going and doing this and creating the best events for our clients. So that's why I'm super excited to have WIPA come, is because it is for those established, experienced wedding vendors who are looking for the what's next and really we're all kind of in the same mindset of how can we elevate the overall Seattle wedding market and really drive this market forward.
I agree. And I think our clients too, I have a lot of repeat clients. They're like, what did you learn recently? And sometimes it's like, oh, what did I learn? But I think it's something they follow me on social media. It's like, oh, you were at this educational thing. That's really cool. Can we incorporate that in our event? So I think even as the local industry here, being able to showcase something new and maybe that's a little bit unique really helps, drive that industry in Seattle, and our clients follow it.
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of education, like you said, further bettering and whether it's new techniques or new, marketing techniques or new, ideas or whatever. We just a bunch of us just came back from the Wedding MBA. And that's kind of been the theme on the podcast the last few weeks is, going down there, taking that time to invest, and this is basically kind of the same idea, but here, right, where you can learn from people in your community.
Right.
So. I just think it's so important. I think it really does set apart, vendors that are doing those sorts of things versus aren't, right? People that are really serious about it, that are taking the time to.
Yeah. And there are the organizations here in Seattle that are for the general masses. Like, so if you're just getting started in the wedding industry, there are absolutely networking organizations that are available to you. This one, again, is just a bit elevated with people that have made it past that 2-year hump of trying to stay in business and make a profit and really realize what this is all about. So even upon registration, like, you have to prove that you have insurance and that you have a business license. Like, you have to make sure you're legit before you even can join WIPA. And so being able to have just that caliber of vendors to be able to learn from here locally is awesome. Plus, not only having the backing of WIPA where they can bring in speakers from around the world that can come teach us here locally in Seattle. So you're getting the benefit of a conference without having to travel.
Yeah. And I think to piggyback on Rebecca's comment, all of our meetings are filmed, and thankfully we have somebody at this table who's going to record each of the meetings, and, being able to access that, whether maybe you're homesick that day, but as a member, you can still log in and see that. But the benefit is we can also at any point see any of the speakers' presentations from around the States, or even since we are internationally up in Toronto, we can see those as well. So I think that's really exciting. And then the other thing that I think puts pressure on us as a board is the fact that we only have 4 meetings annually. And it's something where we want those to be worth the time of our vendors as well as those that attend. So we really want that wow factor, as well as just good networking and education. We will definitely have a few members only events that are in addition to those. So that's something really exciting that we have a few up in the works that'll be announced soon that Rebecca and I are working on.
Yeah. And within those 4 meetings, like what BreeAnn was saying, you should have the experience of walking in and going, wow. Like, we definitely want to up the game of what networking in Seattle is like. And we want it to be an overall amazing experience of something that our members and our participants walk away from and are like, that was truly something special.
Yeah, no, and I think the recording, the presentations is really important because, I belong to a bunch of different stuff, and, I get emails all the time, and I think, oh, this would totally be something that I would like to go to. But, like I said, you're sick or logistically, or we work lots of weird hours, and maybe you have an event that you can't go to, you know what I mean? But I think there's a lot of the fact that you could still benefit from those, from the education and the knowledge that the, guest speakers have without actually being there, I think is really, valuable. Or like watching it again later, but because it shouldn't be an excuse to skip the meetings, right? But it should be,
Yeah. So let's. Yeah.
Maybe you forgot to take notes, or maybe you forgot your pen and paper. You can go back and kind of drive home that point that you were trying to remember.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree exactly. But I think just WIPA, there is something that sets it apart, and it does. We're bringing that luxury kind of into the Seattle market and the experience, and excited to showcase what that is.
And we are definitely still trying to watch trends of what's happening both internationally and across the U.S. too, because we do get a lot of transplants here in Seattle. So being able to know what we're talking about in terms of like what trends we're seeing in the event and wedding industry on the East Coast, and then bringing it here to the West Coast.
Why do you think that Seattle is, lacking behind in that, just in terms of, because that's interesting to me, because I think we live in Seattle and we think like, oh, it's a major metropolis, but, compared to a lot of the East Coast cities, it's not really, and even like people complain about traffic and all that. But,
Right.
why is it just because so many people are moving here now?
I honestly think that a lot of it has to stem with other industries such as fashion and music. So we were a little bit behind in bringing still we have Pacific Northwest attire that we can walk into a place wearing a sweater, wearing flannel or whatever, and it's considered normal. And you go to the symphony and nobody's dressed up. They're all wearing jeans, t-shirt, so you're going to these higher end events and the attire and the dress code is just really brought down. And so I think that translates over into the event world as well, where because we have that quote unquote Pacific Northwest casual, that's the expectation in events as well. But with that mix of having so many people being brought here because of jobs, we're now getting that really interesting divide of, okay, the East Coast style is very black tie, very, upper crust in terms of the overall events and caliber that they're looking for. And where is that in the Pacific Northwest? Where does it find its fit to still feel approachable, but high end?
And I think what I'm finding, a lot of my clients it's more about the experience than not necessarily, sometimes the look. They do want it to be high end, the food, the beverages especially. But it's that experience or guests feel when they walk in. And so myself as a planner, I'm trying to elevate the look along with that, but at least the experience. So when they walk in the room, they're wowed and not like, oh, did they forget the linens? But making sure like they have full length linens, they have some unique elements to the event. So I think that's something that's always inspiring to me.
So you're saying the trend of baseball hats I'm seeing at wedding receptions might be not
might be on their way out.
That might not be a part of our attire.
No, absolutely. So, and like you said, you guys have assembled, this killer team, the board members, and even now as you guys are seeing, RSVPs come in for the event and registration stuff. What has been the reaction to like other wedding pros, that are, in on this basically, for lack of a better word, with us on this? What has been their reaction and their thoughts to kind of being involved in this?
Well, I was going to say, and I'll let Rebecca, because she'll talk a little about the membership and the potential members she's been speaking with. But myself, just speaking with other industry professionals that have been in this for a while, and we have some wrinkles because of it. They're excited because of the education and the opportunity to learn a bit more. So I think they're coming to us going, oh gosh, I registered or I've heard about this. So I think that's really exciting for us. And it puts the pressure on us again, just to make sure we're elevating the meetings.
Right. And especially the people that have been around in this industry for a while have actually heard of WIPA. And so I think that has a lot of weight back behind it, is knowing like it is an established organization. They are known for their leadership and for their speakers. And so being able to have people know of it and are excited to see it come to Seattle. And then with that, being a member brings a lot of benefits that come alongside it, such as being able to see those recordings from every single WIPA chapter, which is huge, of being, just having that as a resource. And
I was going to mention too, if you're a member, you can also, if you feel like heading to Chicago or New York and you want to attend a WIPA meeting, you can go for the price of a member. So you don't have to be a member at all of the chapters around. You can, you could hop around to city if you really want.
Go for a world tour. Let's do it.
Well, yeah, no, because once I got signed up, I was getting emails, they do like news blasts and things. And there's a lot of other, just more, you're kind of, like you said, seeing more things nationally about how things are, what other news is happening, or, I guess like achievements and stuff from, they sent me like, hey, if you have any news to promote, you can submit and kind of be a part of this. So I thought that was interesting as well, just in just a short time, obviously, that we've kind of been getting this all going.
Very much about recognition and being able to be posted on the WIPA website. And like you were talking about, any recognition about their members they want to know about and be able to promote as well. So not only is that great for name recognition and leadership within our industry, but it's also great for your SEO too. So why not use it, right? So we want to make sure we're hitting all the bases here of what the benefits are. And then you, of course, also as a member, as with any networking organization, you, of course, also get less expensive registration for your tickets for each of those quarterly meetings as well.
So talk, and Rebecca, we're a part of a lot of different groups together, and we go to a lot of different stuff. You're big networking. I think both you guys.
Yeah.
What is it about that and learning from each other and seeing pros again? So what is that? Because of anyone I think of, that goes to a lot of stuff, it's you guys. So why is it that you find so much value in that?
We don't like to sleep. No.
Yeah, that would more be it. But I think it's really because we inspire each other. And I know Rebecca, at any point I could call and say, hey, I'm struggling on this idea. Do you have anything? Or it's good just to see what other people are doing, not necessarily because we're copying, but just to get inspiration and kind of see what's out there as well. Because I feel if you're staying at home and not getting out networking, you're missing on that element of meeting other vendors and also hearing what they're up to or what they might be able to offer your clients.
And there's that consistency of having new vendors entering the market too. So, yes, this one's appealing to, again, more tenured vendors, but there's some out there that I'm like, oh, wait, where have you been? Like,
Yep.
why, I would love to have used you if I just had known about you. And so I think it's getting that word out of who you are as a vendor. And also, and I think I can speak for BreeAnn as well, but neither of us have had to advertise in our many years of wedding planning. And that 100% comes from word of mouth. And so going to those networking events and being top of mind and being in front of people's faces. So you're constantly that reminder of, oh yeah, they're still there. They're going to these meetings. They're staying current. They're knowing who's out there. That has been a huge benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just having the conversation with Alan Chitlick yesterday, with Puget Sound DJ, who's also been on the podcast. And we were talking about that too, just kind of getting ready for wedding shows and stuff in the winter, I guess. And, figuring out how to market, right? How to get leads, how to do things like that. And I do think with a lot of, seasoned vendors now, it is coming from word of mouth and, just referrals that way more than, paying to be on something or do something,
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't necessarily, it's not a pay to play for us. It's much more about vendor relationships and that just one-on-one time and that.
And helping each other out if we need it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So do we want to kind of highlight, so we're recording this, I guess on the 7th to air next week, in anticipation of the event that's coming up. So why don't we talk about the event and what's going on with that and, when and where and kind of all the details with that. So this is like the first, the kind of the launch event.
Yeah, the launch event, which is November 19th at the Foundry By Herban Feast. And exciting because we have not only your board, all of your board will be there, but we also have Pauline Perry, who is the owner of Good Gracious and is also a founding member of WIPA. And she really represents the spirit of the organization. So she is going to speak a bit on the organization and why you might consider joining. And then we have Andy Maurer is going to be our keynote speaker. And he is speaking on the science of toxic stress. And Andy is a licensed therapist and wellness coach. And that, one might wonder how it ties into us, but he is very familiar with the struggles and joys of life as an entrepreneur in the industry, as his spouse has been in the luxury wedding industry for over 8 years. And he's seen, her side of things, but also how his business can help us. And I know I've heard great things about his presentation at previous WIPA events, as well as like Engage and other places he spoke on, and he came highly regarded. So I'm excited to see what he's going to say.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I just filmed an event. I guess it was Monday, Tuesday. Similar balancing work stress, and it's a huge thing nowadays. And this was geared at not wedding professionals, but even I'm sitting there watching this, and there's a lot of value to be gained from balancing that and kind of relieving the stress of that. So I do think that would be worthwhile.
Yeah,
and obviously like good food and drinks and stuff as well at the event.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say you have Herban Feast there, and I know the talk of the town is the vodka infused seltzer waters and everything. So we do have San Juan seltzer on hand, and we're going to be doing to start things off a Cristini bar and San Juan seltzer pairing to kick off before the presentations, and then afterwards we'll be pairing that with dessert. So excited to see all that's to come with that. And then the one thing I do want to mention, I have received questions on, is you can still come to the party without being a member, but I know Rebecca's going to be your gal to kind of help convince and answer your questions on that. So I might have Rebecca talk a little bit about membership.
Yeah, so we are actually running a membership drive currently that runs through our meeting date of November 19th. And what that means is you can sign up to become a member of WIPA, and your registration fee will get reimbursed to you. So it's a $50 membership fee that will be reimbursed to you. And then there's several levels of membership. So you can, most vendors opt for the elite membership, which is $300 a year. And then the corporate membership is a little bit higher at the $500 level mark. And all of this can be found on WIPA's website if you just go to wipa.org. Again, that's WIPA.org. And all of that is listed under the membership information. But we're super excited about getting this up and going for the Seattle market, and knowing that the meetings are going to be of a higher caliber, and where you can expect, like BreeAnn was saying, amazing food, great decor, awesome speakers.
So you can see us.
Yeah, exactly. So if you sign up and take advantage of this membership drive prior to the meeting, I know you have not seen the meeting yet, but I promise it's going to be good. So if you sign up before the meeting, you can take advantage of that membership drive of having that $50 admin fee reimbursed. And then for ticket sales, our tickets for non-members are at $75. And then for members, it's $50. So you get a pretty significant price break to be able to sign up as a member beforehand, before our meeting.
Yeah, and it's, and I've gone to similar, networking events in the past, and it is really nice to, feel like you're attending something as a change, and even just like that weird thing, but like we go to all these, and, especially like us as like, photo or video, like you just kind of want to blend into the back and, not really partake in, obviously like the food and stuff. And it is nice to feel like you can attend as a guest, enjoy, great food, drinks, talk with people. It is just a different experience to be able to actually attend something as opposed to working it,
Yeah, for sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too, I was just going to highlight is following us on social media. So Mallory has been fantastic on posting information about all your board members, as well as what you're going to see at the upcoming event and future meetings.
Right. And then something else that we're also looking for of a couple different ways to get involved within WIPA itself is if you are one of those vendors like Reed, where you don't come to anything, but you're a member of it, and you feel like you don't know very many people, this is a great opportunity for you to come volunteer. So we are looking for volunteers in different positions in terms of helping out me at registration. I mean, what a great opportunity to meet every single person that walks through the door and have me as kind of your liaison of like, oh my gosh, have you met this person? So definitely don't hesitate to reach out should you want to volunteer with that or as a creative partner.
And with the creative partners, it's great because it's if you want to showcase the floral or different stationery, we definitely want to feature, have a program at each meeting and being able to highlight that. I know, different photographers for each event. So definitely reach out to us if you're interested in sponsoring any of the 2020 events. We do have locations locked in, but we are looking for creative partners on that.
Benefit of being a creative partner as well is that you get one complimentary ticket, and then you get member pricing for one additional person from your team.
If you are a member.
If you are a member, correct. So
yeah, and just to kind of further explain that, so basically like you have each of these events set up and you have, you need certain vendors filled, right?
It takes all of us to put it on.
So like, photography, floral, linen, kind of list, some of these things and because I get it, but what is the benefit, if I'm someone that does flowers or whatever, what is the benefit of me wanting to do that?
I'm going to say there's no better opportunity than to showcase amongst your peers. I mean, that's, for most of us who've been in the industry for a while, that's how we get our referrals is from all of us. And obviously, past clients, but a lot of industry referrals, and being able to be a creative partner and showcasing what you do is huge because not everyone, as a wedding planner, we see what everyone does, but most people do not get that opportunity. They drop off and leave.
Yeah. Plus, we have different levels of sponsorship based on the dollar amount that is being donated in terms of goods or services. So, based on those levels of sponsorship, you have different perks, such as being, recognized on stage, having a couple of minutes to be able to speak about your business, social media posting, et cetera, et cetera.
So it's a great way to you're established, but to kind of cement in this next, higher level of vendors. I mean, sometimes you go to these things and you got someone talking your ear off and you're like, I don't even know who this person is. Yeah, this is not, these are people that are working, that have the time, have the knowledge, have the education, do the events that, need people like you would be as a wedding vendor.
Right. And it's just, again, staying top of mind, because the more that you're in front of somebody's face, either on social media, talking to them in person without being annoying, of course, but like you just want to stay relevant, and show people that you are involved.
So we have the event on the 19th. There's a lot of other upcoming events. Do we want to just talk about some of the other locations, other ideas and things that we're looking to do and build throughout the year?
Sure. So we have like we said, it's 4 times a year. So our meetings, we have our next one is this February at the Four Seasons, and Julie of Party Slate will be there presenting. So that's a great one. I know everyone loves a good party at the Four Seasons. And then we also have this May, the Dockside at Duke's, which is a new venue, which I have a feeling a lot of you have not been to. And then this August at Columbia Winery. And then our November one that we are still on the hunt for, but we have a few strong leads.
Yep. And that potentially could be a members only event. And speaking of members only events, we are trying to scatter a couple within the year that are going to have serious FOMO. So if you're not a member, you definitely want to get on board so you can be included in that.
And you might literally be getting on board on one of them.
You might. Just a little hint, little nudge, nudge.
But, and like we had said before, limiting the number of events, really kind of building up, the speakers and who's going to be there. And I think just making it is a little more approachable for some people that go, God, I can't make it to however many events a year. Because that's like me, right? I'm like, well, I can't. If I can't go to one, well, then I'm not going to go to a bunch of them, right? I think it makes it easier to kind of slip out of the routine, right?
Correct. And it's easy to put 4 dates on your calendar versus 12.
Yeah, way more manageable. Yeah. And then we are trying to scatter locations too. So just be aware that we do know that people live far north, far south, at east side Seattle. So we are trying to highlight different venues and vendors in each area as well. So keep in mind that we all have to drive a ton in this city. There's no excuse to not come because it's too far. We've heard it too many times. Both BreeAnn and I live in Snohomish, and we put more miles on our car than we care to admit. So I expect to see you out there if you live somewhere, quote unquote, far out from the venue. So
no, it is, because it's hard. It's hard nowadays. And like just how big I think the wedding community is here, like you said, all the way up north and south. It is challenging sometimes to find, but I do think that would be one benefit to kind of help, motivate people is.
Yeah. Plus it gets you out of your comfort zone too. I mean, if you aren't willing to drive out of Seattle, like you're missing out on everything that's on the east side and up north. So it just gets you a little bit more exposure to what's being offered.
Yeah. And everyone loves a good adventure. Excuse me. Yeah.
Nobody loves an adventure.
Nobody loves an adventure, but everyone loves an adventure.
No, but I do. I think it's so important to come and, get your face in front of people and talk. It's, especially like in video. I mean, I can speak. I think a lot of videographers really do a poor job of kind of incorporating in and talking to people and kind of, doing that. And so I do think it's nice to not kind of hide in the shadows, to kind of be there and present and let people know kind of who you are, no matter what kind of industry it is. But it's a team effort, across the board, no matter what you do. And even, a lot of vendors that aren't their day of, right? Like obviously we spend a lot of time because we're at the weddings together, talking, but if you are like a calligrapher and you don't, or you do the chalkboards, or you do the, you're dropping off the cookies or whatever. I mean, this is a good way to really kind of network with these people that maybe you work with a lot, but don't actually get a lot of face-to-face time with.
Yeah. It's kind of a drop and go versus a come hang out and spend all day together. Yeah. So yeah. And an even better way to showcase your services is to become one of our partner sponsors. But we want to see what you do
Yeah.
and we want to get to know you because Reed's absolutely right. We don't, the people that we hang out all day with, photographers, videographers, DJ, that tends to be who has the most, not collaborative, that's not the word I'm looking for, but like the most solid day of relationship, And so, yeah, it'd be awesome to get to know a little bit more about those kind of behind the scenes vendors that we don't really get to know that well.
No, it's tough. I mean, as someone, and I know that you guys, like if I'm putting together blogs or posts, and, I always try to have, a pretty substantial list of the vendors that are involved. But, you do automatically go to, venue, planner, photographer. But then there's a lot of other people there that are just as important, right? And you have to, it's, like if you're the person that does the cupcake topper or whatever, like that is just as valuable if you're that person as the photographer that's there. And so building that network out, I do think it's really important, especially for those types of vendors, like you said, that aren't there.
Yeah. No, but we're excited for WIPA to come to Seattle. And I think just, be able to showcase all that we have here and things that we could bring to the market.
What are some kind of where you hoping that people will get, from the membership? What are your hopes, if I'm a new vendor and I'm signing up, like what are some things that I'm going to get, tangible or untangible, but, kind of takeaways if I sign up for the year?
I think the biggest priorities for me is ideas, relationships, and
the education,
continued education. Like those are top three for sure for me.
Yeah. And I think I'm with that. To me, the education was the key thing, bringing that to Seattle. And then obviously the inspiration too. So, and being able to, I think WIPA is great because we get connected with so many vendors around the US and being able to bring their influences here and seeing what they do. I think that's really exciting and just being able to elevate the industry even further.
So kind of rounding out the conversation here and focusing on this upcoming event on the 19th, who are some of the, other sponsors? Obviously, I'll be doing the video, but who are some of the other, vendors, creative partners that'll be there?
Yeah, so we have a really solid team of vendors that are going to knock your socks off. We've got, of course, our hosting venue, which is the Foundry by Herban Feast. And so that means Herban Feast is going to be our featured caterer.
Yep.
Of course, yourself, Reed, with Best Made Videos, recording both the speaker as well as doing a little highlight reel afterward. We've got Barbie Hull Photography, who is also on our board, who's going to be taking photos of the event. And then we have our floral partner, Leanne Mitchell, and she's going to be doing a really awesome fall harvest theme. So she's going to be incorporating some of the warm traditional fall colors, yellows, greens, oranges, wood tones, as well as some fruit and whatnot into the arrangements. And then we have our DJ MC sponsor, Brandon Gorley, who's my pal.
And also we have Brian with Lightsmiths, who will be lighting up the event. Court Party Rental will be providing rentals for, everything you're going to be eating. AFR Rentals is going to knock your socks off with the various furniture that they're bringing into the event. It's great to see all of the items they have. When you're pulling up to the event, Butler Seattle will be there to park your car. And especially in case of rain, that's always nice. And then San Juan Seltzer, who I mentioned before, will be there for beverages. And 321 Photo will be showcasing one of their new photo booth features. So that's really exciting. Danielle of Pump and Revel is helping us with our signage, and that's always something creative and inspiring. Prop Gallery will be providing some draping for the event. And then Paper Fling as well will be creating some stationery products. And then Hotel Vintage has offered a $149 rate. So if you're looking at coming in maybe from out of Seattle or you just want a night downtown, that rate is good for the night prior to the event as well as the night of the meeting. And that rate expires on the 12th. So you'll want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and as I alluded to earlier with our florist, Leanne Mitchell, we are doing a elevated Thanksgiving. So you're going to see a lot of just really plush fabrics, textures, colors, really warm and inviting. And of course, topped off with amazing food and wonderful speakers.
That's exciting. Yes, definitely know some of those vendors and some that even have even been on the podcast in the past. So I think we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, and one item to note: ticket sales are not on the day of, so please register beforehand. We do not take ticket sales on the day of, so you will want to register beforehand.
Yes, and for whatever reason, wedding vendors are the worst about RSVPing to events, and just cut our caterers some slack and be sure to register ahead of time.
Perfect. Well, I think it'll be good, and we'll be sure to get this out and get the word out and start promoting. So it's exciting. Thank you guys. Well, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in today. It's been so great to kind of catch up and obviously talk about the network and WIPA and everything else involved with that. So if people are interested in becoming a member and joining, where would you have them go for that? And then also please talk about what you guys do as well and websites for that as well.
Sure. So definitely hit up WIPA.org, WIPA.org, or follow us on Instagram, WIPA Seattle, and then Pink Blossom Events, the same.
Yeah. And then for membership, I am your director of membership. So if you have any additional questions on items that you cannot find on the WIPA.org website, feel free to reach out to me at my planning company, New Creations Weddings, which is info@newcreationsweddings.com. Both creations and weddings are plural.
Perfect. Well, this has been a great, fun kind of podcast today. I really appreciate you guys coming in. If you are a wedding vendor and you are interested in appearing on the podcast, you can go to www.bestmadevideos.com/podcast guest. And that is a great, easy questionnaire to get you in the system. We can check it out and see if it would be a good fit to have you come on the podcast. This has been another episode of Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. Check back next week for another wedding vendor interview. Thanks.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Good job.